Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
You're listening to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, the show that proves no one stumbles upon success ever. With your host, Lou Need. Every Mondays and Thursdays, we deliver cold hard evidence behind the power of a robust morning routine. Get ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind.
Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lunid. And today, I am elated because I have one of my favorite conversations about to happen right now with Dr. Shai Tubali. He is a philosopher and expert in expanded consciousness. Ph.D. from the University of Leeds. He integrates Eastern and Western philosophy to explore the consciousness, how it works, how it drives us, how it kind of leads us as entrepreneurs and as individuals. So we're going to talk about his books because he's authored several, including the Transformative Philosophical Dialogue. I'm really thrilled to have him on board. So with no further ado, Dr. Shai, welcome.
Hello, Dr. Lunid. How wonderful it is to be with you and with all the listeners.
Yes, super excited. I want to know, I love a hero's journey and a hero's story. Tell us how you got started with consciousness, because it's such a deep and profound topic, but what led you to it?
Well, I've always had an intense desire to find answers to life's greatest questions. I remember even when I was just 10 or 11 years old, I was searching for that. And above all, I was searching for that elusive question, who am I? I wanted to know myself as the ancient Greeks commanded or guided, know thyself. So, because if you don't know who you are, your true nature, then how can you live and how can you make choices? You need to make choices on the basis of some self-knowledge. Yeah. So at first I tried academic studies in the hope that my university professor had some answers to the questions, to life's greatest questions. But then I think very quick experience at the university revealed to me that they only knew how to memorize knowledge and how to be experts, but not how to have any direct insight into life's true nature. So then disillusioned, I left the academic world altogether. It was already at the age of 21. And I chose the path of direct insight, which is what can be termed the path of mysticism, with the one who seeks true knowledge, direct knowledge from deep within, unmediated. So at the age of 23, I was privileged to have a certain insight, a direct insight of universality and innate freedom and cosmic consciousness and unconditional love. And that was an inner explosion that has kept going to this day. So insight has guided me throughout my entire life journey. And then I returned. That's perhaps the hero's journey, right? Returning to where you started. Then I returned about 7 years ago to complete my master's and PhD in the philosophy of religion and mysticism, studying ancient Greece, Socrates, ancient India, and the transformative power of dialogue, how dialogue, just like we do right now, can transform hearts and minds. So Eventually, I would say that I have come to create a certain synthesis which really works for me. This is what I call transformative philosophy. You see, because on the one hand, you have spirituality, and spirituality enables you to have experience, feeling, heart knowing, direct inquiry, meditation. But on the other hand, it over focuses on experience and feeling. It lacks critical thinking. And very often they tell you in spirituality, give up on the head, remove your head, be headless, don't think.
Don't think.
And that's for me terrible. On the other hand, philosophy gives you contemplation and analysis and knowledge and objectivity. But on the other hand, it keeps you stuck in some ivory tower. It's like a head without a body and without life, and it's completely abstract, no insight. So I think if we combine the two, we allowed ourselves to use our cognitive capacities, but also connect with our heart and get in touch with the ability of our consciousness to provide us with true direct insights. That is my perfect prescription for for life.
Yeah, that is a handful, and we're going to break it down quite granularly for those who are listening and who needs to grasp it. Before we do that, Dr. Shai, I want to go back to that experience you had at 23. Tell us about what that felt like, that explosion, that inner explosion. What was that like for you? And because if anyone can actually try to mimic it and say, how did they to get such an experience to actually open that channel for it to have to come through, to flow?
Well, at that time, I was learning very vigorously the whole concept, the Buddhist concept and the Hindu concept of the illusion of the self, you see. And I kept hearing that personal self did not exist, and that actually our true nature is completely united with the universe, that we are not really separate beings. And one day it was in a retreat, in a silent retreat, deep in the silence. I was just observing something, and then I asked myself very innocently, well, who is the one that is looking at everything? Who is looking through these eyes? And all of a sudden I realized that this kind of person that I imagined myself to be, this person attached to so many memories and circumstances and pains and traumas and thoughts and feelings, all that was actually, there was no something really substantial. And that this kind of inner inquiry enabled me to reveal the mind or my being as a full cosmic being. And I could experience this kind of inseparability. And that inseparability became the truest source of joy in my life. It's actually, I think, what we always unconsciously look for.
Yes, and I wholeheartedly believe you when you say we are connected to the universe. We are one with the universe. You think of us, we're a bundle of energy, right? And we are connected with the universe. I had one epitome close to that. We're going to talk about the higher power and believing in God, right? So I grew up Christian, and I had one moment one time where I thought to myself, it is the higher being that is looking through my eyes and experiencing through my being, experiencing the world.
That's extraordinary how you put it. Wow. Yes, this is exactly it, because from a deep mystical point of view, we are experienced by the divine. We are experiences of the divine. We are vessels, but there is just one experiencer that looks through all the eyes in the world.
You see,
yes.
I knew we were going to connect on this.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about the consciousness and how you define it. And through your research, you've seen there's differences between the Western and the Eastern perspective. Let's talk about that.
Right. I think, sometimes when we hear the word consciousness, it sounds so elusive and transcendent and ungraspable, but it's actually the simplest thing in the world, because everyone is right now conscious, right? We are not just alive, but we're also aware of the fact that we're alive. We're aware of our experiences, aware of our feelings. So it's just that our awareness is so usually attached to circumstances, memories, self-images, thoughts, feelings, and this is why we also suffer, because we have no control over what we are attached to. It's or what we cannot control our stream of thoughts because of that. So the whole thing of consciousness, the science of consciousness, is how to separate this awareness, this consciousness that is always there from everything, from the stream of thoughts and emotions. This is what we learn in meditation. Mm-hmm. And this is what we actually understand. It can actually, consciousness or your awareness can be right now liberated as if it were a genie that is trapped in a bottle, you see? So it is a genie that can be extricated from this bottle and then expand infinitely. And that's the secret. This is what meditation is all about. But for that, we have to realize that there is a certain gap between our mind, our awareness, and thoughts and emotions and memories and traumas, whatever. So now, in the West, well, first of all, of course, it's overgeneralization, but in the West, consciousness is considered a huge problem that nobody knows how to explain. And still, because we live in a deeply materialistic society, the answer is always the same, or almost always the same, that consciousness is just created by the brain. It's just something that is produced by this meaty thing that we have over our shoulders, and that it completely depends on experience, on the senses. It is always awareness of something. It is not independent. It's just another thing in the world, like flowers and then hippos and and ceilings. But in the East, they, and also some Christian, Jewish, and Muslim mystics, we are told something very different. We are told that consciousness exists outside of the brain. It is a little like the soul that we tend to speak of, but it's much more universal. And it's like the essence of the world. In a way, it is like God. It is God, but not as the God sitting on the clouds, but God as this essence that permeates all and everything. And this essence can be freed and it can be expanded. And that's where we experience even a slight expansion of this awareness, a slight liberation. We are immediately filled with enormous bliss that we've never known possible, you see? And this kind of bliss is the sign, the indication you are on the right way. You're getting it. This follow this bliss.
Yeah, I wake up in that. I'm actually in this space that you're referring to. I just am satisfied. I'm just really just genuinely just happy. And I thank you for confirming that I am on the right path, because I do feel it, the aura, wherever I show up. You see it, right? So
I can feel it. I can feel it when you speak. Yes.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the expansion aspect of it. Let's elaborate a little bit more of that, because I do hear and read that we are creators. You know, people say God created the heavens and earth and create the world. When it's not done being created, we're the vessels. We're creating it as we go. You know, the things we have now didn't exist back then, because we're continuously creating and evolving this world that we live in. So let's elaborate that more on a conscious level of how we're expanding so much and how we are expanding up here, but we're seeing it out here.
Yes, well, I think we're expanding the wrong thing in a way, or at least we're expanding without expanding also our consciousness in the same way. You see, there is a saying by Einstein that I really like. It's very simple, but also genius. We cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it, or we cannot solve a problem with using the same level of thinking that created it. And this is, I think, a key to understanding consciousness, because if you understand that we're trying to solve our problems, our suffering through our thinking, through feeling. But the thing is that the thinking and feeling exactly the level of mind that created our problems, all our suffering, all our confusion. So what we need to do is somehow to take a leap beyond the mind if we ever want to influence our thoughts and our thinking and our thoughts and our feelings and our ways of life. So this is the principle of consciousness. If you take a leap, you expand your consciousness, and this is what I do through my expansion method. I've actually worked with thousands of people around the world, guiding them to do it themselves, to make this awareness factor so expansive, so broad, that eventually when they look at their thoughts and their feelings and even their greatest traumas, they look like tiny stars in a vast outer space. You see, so you get a sense of proportion. Now, from this kind of greatness, it's this giant within us. We can act on our brain. We can act on our body. We can begin to heal and transform our emotions, our patterns, our memories. So that's the point, because very often we try to improve our thoughts, improve our feelings, make them better, forgive a little more, or love a little more, or hate a little less. But if you leap to consciousness, you move to the path of transformation. And in the path, from this state of broad consciousness, you also have this authority, self-authority. You don't need a guru. You don't need a teacher. You don't need a guide. Nobody is needed to liberate you. You can do it by yourself, well, because you created your own problems, your own confusions, your own illusions through your own confused mind. So that's the point.
Yeah, I love this so much, and I like that what you said. And so, with your studies, and you have the method that you're teaching thousands of people this. Let's talk about the clinical. How has this research been validated and its effectiveness in getting people to expand, to take control of their life? Start with that, because I want to talk about religion a little bit.
Oh, gladly. Well, I will say it very briefly. I worked with the Charité, which is the largest university hospital in Europe, a certain pilot study. Now we are in the randomized controlled trials stage. But our pilot study proved to be extremely successful. What we did was that we took a 21-day challenge that I guided, focused on the light of positive emotions. Mm-hmm. It's based on the principle that just connecting with our positive feelings and positive emotions has some kind of a broadening effect on our system. So I worked with 1,200 people on expanding their positive emotions and memories on a daily basis. I call it a different kind of therapy because we over-focus on working on our problems, whereas we could actually work on our most positive feelings. And what we found out was that there were significant changes in mental health, including flourishing, well-being, and reducing of negative effect. So now what we do, we're taking a much bolder step. We're examining how the expansion can help PTSD sufferers, people who suffer from severe traumas, to show how when your awareness is expanded, you're finally bigger than your memory, even your worst memory. And when you're bigger than your memory, you can finally digest and unravel this memory. So that's the clinical aspect.
You can lovingly detach from it. You can lovingly just see it as what it was, as an experience, but then not let it bind to your every being, that it directs your decision making. It directs how you live your life. Just removing yourself from that memory altogether, essentially, is what you're doing.
Yes, that's really beautiful. Yes, lovingly detached. That's a perfect combination. Yes.
Yeah. For the expansion aspect of it, you said something that stuck with me. You don't need a guru. You can do it yourself. And that's the type of freedom we're talking about that is needed and necessary, to just want to believe in oneself so much, to know that you are okay at all times, right? Regardless of what's happening with your reality. If you can get to that realm, that space of that consciousness where so much what's happening outside of you does not interfere with that state of mind or state of being.
Exactly. This is what can be called the uncaused or unconditioned state. We finally don't depend on the world. We don't need depend on affirmation. We don't depend on any kind of gratification or confirmation from the outside. We are the source of all feelings. We are the source of love. We are the source of compassion. We are the source of healing. That's the most tremendous discovery of consciousness, which makes it the most precious yet completely unused asset of humanity.
There's a lot of programs, a lot of religions out there that makes you so dependent on the reading, on the church every Sunday and all that stuff. What kind of backlash are you getting, if any, from those organizations, from let's say religion, for example?
Oh, well, of course, they don't like, first of all, usually when I work with people, they come to me because they are ready for this kind of transformation. But yes, I think that when people think, for example, that looking into ourselves and not depending on some kind of savior or some kind of personal God, this is sometimes, I think it's sometimes too scary for people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it seems like even like blasphemy. Even thinking of Jesus as an embodiment of expansion of consciousness, something that can happen to us, and understanding the Son of God means an innate nature that Jesus was indicating. So I think all this, moving from this duality talk, this thing of Jesus and me, or the personal God and me, this is sometimes scary, and it's certainly not for everyone. I think we need to be prepared for that, and to understand that actually the mystics of all these religions pointed at this kind of essence. They've all talked about it. We just are not ready to hear.
Yeah, not ready to hear, or some of us don't want to think about it, don't want to do the work. We want to be sadly told what to do and how to live, as opposed to being the creator and accepting responsibility for both the good and the bad. That was the biggest challenge at first, is when something goes awry, is knowing that, oh, I did that too. I created that. And that's okay, because then as Einstein said, I need a different mind to actually fix it or make the correction.
That's brilliant. Yes.
Just not accepting the fact that you create both the good and the bad. You are the creator. You're creating that, and sense of responsibility.
And I think this is exactly what we need right now in our world, because this kind of self-responsibility, stopping to wait for salvation, consciously or unconsciously, stopping to look for consolation and starting to take self-responsibility for the way we create our world, that is exactly the revolution that we require. Yes.
And it's starting to happen. I believe with your teaching, with this consciousness, there's few people who are getting there. So it's exciting times to see the shift taking place. So tell us real quickly about how collectively we can change, or the big question, like, what is the meaning of life?
Well, what is the meaning of life? Well, I think I would say, first of all, collectively, we need to be able to awaken our consciousness, to awaken our awareness, because only with this can we experience self-responsibility, ourselves as a source, rather as a dependent, desperate beings looking for love, for confirmation, for consolation. So we need to awaken this kind of awareness. And this is why, this is all I do in life. You see, whenever I wake up in the morning, this is all I want to do, to imbue people with readers, listeners, with this kind of passion and love for transformation. Because transformation is the message, is our new stage as humanity. And for that, if we do that, we can finally begin to direct our future consciously and create a future for the first time. Because I think right now our future is just, the result of an automatic choice that we're not even aware of.
Yeah, we're on autopilot most of the time because the brain is genius enough to put a lot of things, a lot like driving. It's automatic. It's on autopilot, right? Getting home. It's so we can learn more things, create more things. The brain is designed to put a lot of things in autopilot and with habits, created habits. But there are things that we do need to say, no, let's actually become aware of that. Let's become conscious of what we're doing. Because Dr. Shai, I earnestly believe we're supposed to be having fun. We're supposed to do what we love. We're supposed to just be like, it's great. I'm satisfied. I'm very happy with all that is happening around me. But a lot of times we're just bombarded with what reality looks like. And that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of the things you do. How do you get up, dress up, and show up? Let's talk about your morning routine to get you to wake up happy every day to actually teach the people you do.
Yes, because it requires tremendous energy and perseverance. Well, I will tell you very shortly. I wake up every day at exactly the same hour, at 7:00, without using even an alarm clock. And because my goal is always to gather my energies for intense cognitive activity, I have to have silence. I have to have aloneness, some level of aloneness. I have to have some slowness because slowness allows creativity, is a fertile ground for creativity and relaxation. I always read the news every day from many angles in the morning because I want to know what I'm responding to, what my why is. Because I need to have this, I work from the heart.
Yeah.
And I'm always extremely repetitive and persistent, and no matter what my state is, because I know that if I dedicate each morning to writing and creating every day, I can actually accomplish so much with this kind of perseverance. If I can write just 500 words every day, I can write 600 pages a year, which means at least 2 books. So, and this is how I've written over 30 books.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also, of course, make sure that my breakfast is nourishing and that I keep my mind alert. So if I needed to recommend anything, then I would say be persistent no matter what. Don't be so self-forgiving using all kinds of excuses. If you repeat the same thing a few hours every day, you will be able to attain enormous goals. Try to maintain silence, to have enough silence, because silence is the foundation of all creativity. Have a clear why and make sure that your mind is alert, but also available, relaxed and open. So this kind of quality of the mind is magnificent for creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And being conscious of what we feed the mind, what goes in, right? Because garbage in, garbage out. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you stimulating the mind? And what goes back to your why? How are you going to use that towards your purpose, towards driving your goals? Now, you've written, as you said, over 30 books and 12 of them in 12 different languages, right? Like, so you're well renowned and well accepted in this space. So it's been really a pleasure hearing from you and learning about consciousness. What do you want to leave us with, that if someone's listening and this is resonating with them, what do you want to say to them in terms of what they could do next? I do love the piece about silencing the mind and allowing for aloneness and silence time in your day. That is very pivotal, and I follow that myself. But please tell us what someone's listening is resonating with them. What is one thing that they could actually start doing?
Well, simply discover the gap between your awareness and your thoughts. There is a slight, even a tiny little bit gap, even if it is right now unnoticeable. Trust that there is a certain gap of freedom and choice between you and thoughts that seem to overpower you. When you discover this small gap, this is your key to inner freedom. So, because this is the place from which you can reinvent your life. So look for that small space. It is always there. It is already there.
Very nice. Well said. So that gap is this space where you can decide to do something different, where you can decide to stop going with the same beat down traveled path and actually cut a thought pattern, essentially rewiring the brain essentially from doing the same thing over and over again.
Exactly. Because you're not your thoughts.
Nice. Well said.
Yes.
What is your take on law of attraction? Because I do believe law of attraction will tell us what to think because, it's what we see in our reality. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think we should have a balanced view of this kind of law of attraction because it's very important to know also how to work in harmony with life and the world and to accept what we cannot achieve, what we cannot have, and to also be able to listen to life, not only influencing life, but also being able to listen to it. So we have the ability, of course, to use the law of attraction to achieve a great many things by simply gathering our willpower and finally knowing what we want. If we know what we want, that's for me the greatest law of attraction in the world. And I think most people, they're not so sure what they want or they want too many things at the same time. This is self-contradictory. But if you have this kind of unity within you, you are a tremendous cosmic being.
Mm-hmm. Identifying what you want and to focus on that. Because where you focus, energy goes, right? The energy flows where you focus. Well,
exactly.
Dr. Shai, where can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Well, of course, you're very invited to visit my official website, which is shaitubali.com. And there's also my YouTube channel, which contains almost 800 videos. This means an enormous space for learning, for transformation, for exploring some guided meditations, explanations about how we can integrate spirituality into our daily life. So it's so full of guidance that I think that's the best way to start.
Fantastic.
It's also Shai Tubali.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Today has been exemplary. It's just magnificent. Just sitting here with you. I really love what you said, that you are not your thoughts. That sinks in for me. Thank you for sharing it. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today, Dr. Shai.
And thank you for your brilliance. I've enjoyed so much listening to your questions and wisdom.
It's been such a pleasure.
All right, morning enthusiasts, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you love the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast, we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes or Google Play. While you're at it, tell a friend about the show. Be sure to visit bestmorningroutineever.com and our Facebook group to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic free bonus content. Until next time.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets, with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.